now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And this is Ben.
on Spoiled Rotten. And it is Invincible week. We are here to spoil episodes 4 and 5 of season 4 of Invincible. It's I have to say up top. First I'll let you say if your kind of opening thoughts, but I do have some apologies to make right up top.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, let's get into the apologies if you want to.
Yeah, fair enough. So, last episode we did, I was like, oh yeah, like I remember that Paul was just always there. I don't think he's not always there, but very clearly I forgot the element of Debbie getting back together with Nolan. So they just changed that for the show. As of episode 5 anyway. I don't know what they're gonna do, but like that one, I thought when I said, oh, Debbie is not open to taking him back with such certainty, is because in my mind in season 3 the scene that happens in episode 5 where she tells him to fuck off already happened.
Okay.
And 2, I just completely made that up because that does not happen in the comics. I just, in my mind, had a memory of that happening.
Yep.
So when it was happening, I was like, oh, it's this episode? And then online people were like, I like this change. I'm like, it's a change? And then I like looked at the panels, I'm like, oh, right. She just fully gets back with him.
In the comics.
In the comics. I don't know
right,
if it's forever, but she does, for a brief bit, get back with Nolan. So this is a very clear change, for the better, I would say, of Debbie having self-worth and being like, fuck you, I'm not coming back. We will get back to that in the timeline, but I just wanted to up top be like, I will no longer comment on what does or does not happen in the comics, as I completely fucked that up.
I get to have plausible deniability because I have never read the comics, and so everything happens as the show it progresses and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty happy about that. For these 2 episodes, I'm just like, yep, strong showing. A lot of, just because I wasn't aware of what was going to happen or have any idea. The one thing that I did not expect to happen did happen, and that is Mark and Nolan just arriving back on Earth and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen so soon. So that was pleasantly surprising. And episode 4, I hear a lot of people are like, oh, that's a throwaway filler episode. And I'm like, no, I don't think it is. It's just the Dark Blood storyline has been just very slow to develop, I think. But it's got to be something else.
I guess we can get into episode 4 now.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it as much as other people.
Sure.
Yeah, so this episode opens with Mark trying to give back his suit to Art. And he just doesn't feel like a hero for reasons we brought up in the first 3 episodes of him being like, oh no, now I just want to kill. It's not even really a thing anymore of me pretending like I don't want to do it. I like what Art says. I don't know if it's true, but I like what he says when he says, if I were on the brink of bringing destruction to the whole world, I would thank you for killing me. If there was nothing. And I don't know if that's actually true, but I do like that he said that because it shows how much he cares about Mark. It sounds nice, but I'm like, would you? Or would you be like, couldn't you find a way to stop this from happening? But it was nice. And there's other things he says, like the fact that you're even thinking about this means you're not like your dad, which does go a long way coming from Art, who spent a lot of time with his dad. but yeah, this is as you said, this is the Damien Darkblood episode, so it's new for everybody. This is not from the comics. We knew last year he was going to do new Damien Darkblood stuff.
Gotcha. Because in the comics, the Damien Darkblood stuff is
he just dies.
over. It's just
no,
done.
he just dies.
But so this is like brand.
This is like when they were like he's back. I was like, sure, okay. I understand the emotional importance of this, but we'll get through it. I don't find him to be a compelling main character, and he's the main character of this episode.
You're talking about Damien.
Yeah, I was just like, all right. So he's with his sister and family members, and they're trying to take on Volcanica. And this is where they kind of drop the idea that, hey, maybe the devil isn't a bad guy. He's certainly keeping people like Volcanica at bay, but he does not have his full strength right now. So that's why Damien Darkblood and his family have to step up and take over. So they go through the fight. His sister dies. For now, I get the idea that the devil likes to resurrect people, so it's maybe a minor inconvenience, but in the moment, it's a very brutal death. What did she do? Like fill her with lava or something?
Wasn't if I'm.
They cut her head off.
Yeah, they cut the head off and all that kind of stuff. There was like a massive like axe thing to the head. Yeah.
Anyway, Damien's kind of like, yeah, it's not going well. I know what I'll do. I'll conjure Omni-Man. And
let's not get Omni-Man.
Well, I think the devil's kind of like, sorry, why? Like, what do you think's gonna change?
Sure.
Or why didn't you do this before? And he was like, well, before I was worried about like what would happen if I called Omni-Man, but now it just feels like, what do we have to lose here?
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, he does not get Omni-Man. He gets Mark. I think the explanation they give is because he was closest. Yeah. He's actually on Earth, which we find out Hell is just at the core of Earth. With Omni-Man being off planet, that means he would not show up, but someone in his bloodline would, and here we are. It's Mark. We also get to revisit that mummy, who I also don't know if that's in the comics, but who cares what I think anymore. I just like the running gag of this time he's like, oh, I could have had Invincible. You know what? Fuck this. I'm just going to take I'm going to debase myself and take a woman's body. And I love that. I know it's Chloe Bennett, but I don't remember. I think her name's Riley. At first, like, wait a minute. You could have had a girl this whole time. And then she realizes, oh, it's me. Shit. And the joke doesn't end there because she gets out of the tomb, or he gets out of the tomb using her body, and then is like, wait, you can't even fly? And then has to walk. It's some good stuff.
It's some good stuff, except for the misogyny part. But it did.
Well, that's what I like,
Chloe
is that
Bennett's.
he's an idiot, and and it's not even. Yeah, he just sucks.
He sucks. He sucks, and I'm just like, yeah, it sucks to suck. Like, here's the cost of that. You gotta walk now, dude. It's really funny.
So yeah, that's that. That's the explanation of what Mark was doing when he was called away. And I love that Damien's like, this is Satan, and Mark right away, great, yeah, I'll just beat him up. And Damien has like, no, you're not here to kill Satan. And he's just like, what? And they have some funny back and forth stuff, but I don't know, there's something about Damien Darkblood where I'm just like, this isn't as funny as it could be. Something about his delivery that
it's the delivery. The pacing is just like, this is too slow, and it's not dumb. So it's just like, we have to be patient for every word.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
He also confirms to Mark, no, Cecil sent me here. Because I think Cecil did a cover-up.
Yes.
And by I mean, it obviously was explained in the show. I just don't remember what he said, but Mark was obviously under the impression that he died or something. They also basically are like, yeah, Satan is the person who's holding back all the bad guys from coming to Earth. There is no heaven. I didn't really get what he was saying after that, where he's like, "You think this is a
I
bad thing?"
love that line. I love that line. Okay, so
Is it like, oh,
so
if you did have like, this is better now, you don't have to make up heaven, like things are just
no, he was just like, so he was saying like explaining how hell does exist, and like you said, Satan is the one actually keeping the evils at bay and preventing them from going to Earth and all that kind of stuff. And there's some lore about like, oh, the fifth layer or whatever and all that kind of stuff.
That was funny when he was like,
Yeah.
"Well, humans are part of the fifth wave," and
Yeah.
he was like, "Yeah, well, you can't imagine first wave," and he's like, "You didn't say third wave." He's like, "Well, I was building up to that, and we don't even talk about fourth wave."
Yeah. I loved it. It's like I was building up for that for dramatic purposes. It was really, really funny. But what he says about heaven is like, no, heaven does not exist, because knowing that allows you to make Earth your heaven and treat it properly and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh man, a lot of people need to hear that. It's just the idea of like, hey,
Yeah.
there's no afterlife except for maybe there is a hell, but probably heaven is what we create on Earth.
See,
And
I guess
loved
that's
that.
my thing. Is once you're like, there is a hell, I'm like, I don't find solace in the heaven thing, because if someone knew there was for sure a hell,
Mhm.
any religious person would be like, well, then where's the heaven? And they wouldn't find solace in, I guess heaven's just what we do on Earth. That would only
Right.
work for like agnostic people.
It would, but then also he goes on to say like, oh, hell doesn't work the way you think it does, in the sense where it's like people that die don't come here based on religion or whatever. Hell is just
There's no
basically a
bad
collection
or
of
good.
demons. Yeah, it's just
Everyone
a
just
collection of
comes here.
demons and monsters and all that kind of stuff. But it is hell, but no one actually goes to hell. Like basically, it is the atheist way of, oh, when you die, you die. That's it.
Yeah, I guess that's why I was like, this doesn't seem like it's better. Not to me. I'm saying if you were, this feels like it would land if you were talking to a Matt Murdock or something, or that the purpose of this would be for a Matt Murdock who already cares or is invested in the idea of the afterlife.
Sure.
But telling them that like, oh yeah, there's still a hell. I'm like, well, then what are you supposed to do if you were like, but I was told there's heaven and hell.
But there's a hell, but there's no afterlife. So it's the
I'm saying this works for us. Our
Yes.
like the logic is sound.
Mhm.
I don't know how that has any bearing on someone who's legitimately invested in heaven or hell.
Oh, and probably destroy the world. It
Like,
probably break
that-
their worldview.
The way he said, you think of this as a bad thing, but consider this. I'm like, I don't know that could be a consideration for someone who legitimately bought into heaven and hell.
And so you're right about that. And here's the funny thing I will say. Okay, and I'm not trying to start a religious whatever here, but what I do know is that when you read the Satanic Bible, in my opinion, it is one of the ultimate self-help books available out there. And the reason why I say that is because like the Satanic Bible teaches you about consent, it teaches you about respect, it teaches you about all those things that self-help books do, but it's under the guise and branding of the Satanic Bible. And it's just wild because I'm like, okay, this is self-help stuff. It's just branded in a way that not a lot of people see. But then I look at biblical stuff, I'm like, there's a lot of evil going on here. Like, you're trying to convince me that this God guy loves us, but like this is what he's doing all the time. It's like he's not teaching anyone about consent. He's not doing it. He's got this weird joke he plays on Abraham and his son and all that kind of stuff. So it's just like this weird thing where I'm like, I don't get what religious people see in religion, but I sure do see what goths like about the Satanic Bible. Because to me, I'm like, yeah, if you remove Satanism away from all that, it is just like, it teaches you about consent, it teaches you about your body, how to respect yourself, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's really, really cool. So the idea here of what he's saying makes sense to me. You're absolutely right that it would make sense to people like you and me. But I would imagine to the Matt Murdocks and the people that are very, very religious that have this idea of like, heaven is the reward for living the life that God wants you to live, this would probably shatter the worldview if it wasn't a fictional cartoon. You know what I mean? If it was like, oh, a preacher started preaching this, that would be chaos for sure.
Yeah. It's. I know we spent a long time on this. I was just like, I understand the words he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't really feel like it's the jewel that he thinks it is.
Oh, it definitely isn't. It definitely isn't. It's the. I'm not going to use that because it's taken on a totally different meaning, but it's just the idea of like, yeah, you can buy into the facade of everything, or you can here's the truth.
Yeah. Anyway, because Mark keeps asking questions, this is another moment where someone in the episode is giving Mark a compliment by saying, I do think there's a detective in you. I spent a lot of time with your dad, and he never asked questions like this. So there you go. There's another tick for Mark to not have to worry about becoming his dad. I do like when he was like, we ought to go to the bottomless pit. And he's like, well, how do we do that? He's like, it's not actually bottomless. It's just really long drop. And I like that for a bit. He's trying to fly. He's like, you don't have to do that. It's just easier if you let it happen. Just catch me before we drop to the ground. And Mark's, I just like the delivery of, it is easier.
Yeah.
And the helmet whooshing thing was also funny. I don't know. Again, it felt awkwardly timed, considering the joke is it looks cool. But I was like, oh, we took a while to get there, and he kind of throws it. It's whatever. Obviously, the humor didn't work for me, but I liked the idea.
Yeah,
I liked the idea of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. There's something in Dark Blood's delivery. It's way too drawn out. It's way too slow, because that would have worked in another context. Because I'm like, man, Mark is really asking a whole lot of questions right now about this helmet thing. It's just like he could be asking questions about the hell that he's currently in and all that kind of stuff even more.
Also, just ask the question better. I feel like he went back to why so much that I was
yeah.
Surely you know about a different way to get at this.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that was good stuff. So basically they get to Satan, and Satan's like, yeah, I need you to get my crown, then I can resurrect these people and we can fight. And Mark does do that. He gets the crown, and they do fight Volcanica again. And I like the Mark's like, he's just like, I'm just gonna knock her head off.
Yeah.
And he does. And she just keeps getting up. He's like, is there a way to just not let her get up? And they're like, oh no, she's just gonna keep coming. I don't know. Let's try this. Yeah, I was genuinely like, he's just gonna keep going, isn't he? That was funny. That to me was funny, but I was like, oh yeah, he's not gonna be able to beat her. And then I feel like this made her be like, you know what, fuck you. Now I'm really coming for Earth. This is But I was like, you're already there, they said. But anyway, it doesn't matter. She's like, oh, I'm coming to the surface. Fuck you guys. This is before I was just fighting these hell people, but now that you've come down here to do this to me, I'm going up there. So that's when they're like, oh, Damien, maybe you should be our eyes and ears up there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't have anything to do with the comics, I'm just like, maybe they're just adding a layer to the needing protection on all fronts of what comes later.
Sure.
It does feel like an issue of Invincible you could have read. In that respect, I'm like, yeah, that's good. He hasn't lost his touch of doing a fun Invincible episode. Obviously, it comes at the expense of learning more about Adam Eve's pregnancy or how that affects Mark. We don't get an answer to that in the next episode either, but at least it's being addressed. This one, I was just like, this is oddly placed, because I kind of want that to keep going. What I have seen is people say that at least this is him getting happy again. Obviously, at the end of this episode, he takes the blue and yellow suit back, puts that back on, because Art made it for him at the beginning, or made it for him and tried to give it to him at the beginning of the episode. So he feels like a hero again. That is important. But I feel like the way they stuff things into episodes, I don't know if we needed the whole episode to be this to get to that end.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I think they're that's why a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's a filler episode" and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I can't agree with those people because clearly they have still more story to tell with Dark Blood, whether or not that's a good or a bad thing. But I'm like, it can't be filler if there's like a continuation to it, especially if Volcanica continues to resurrect and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I just, you're right. It's a lot to do in this episode where the whole point is just to be like, yeah, let's restore Mark's faith in himself to make him realize he's a good guy and all that. It was a very long episode for that. However, I will say one thing, that when they were in Hell and they had this combat sequence set to Slayer's Rain and Blood, that was awesome. That was the way they timed out the whole fight sequence to the actual song and didn't edit the song except for, oh yeah, we're gonna cut this out before the guitar solo. We really don't need that right now. I'm just like, okay, this is sick. This is really, really good, and I don't think I've ever really loved the music in Invincible as much as I did this season, because I do remember like there was an episode with Karma Police or something like that, and I'm like, yeah, this music is sick. So I'm like, they're really bringing it there.
I feel like a big part of the show being good was the music, but I like that this is the height of your liking the music.
Yeah, this is my
but
thing.
I've always thought they had great needle drops. Yeah, I don't the episode's not done, but yeah, that is the meat of the episode is just like him getting his swag back basically and taking back the thing. Another thing, this I do know happens in the comics, but I can't remember if it's happened in the show already, which is he at one point Bulletproof is invincible, and I'm like, has that happened yet, or are they just not doing that?
Don't believe it's happened yet.
Yeah,
if they're going
to do that.
Yeah,
it was just interesting because I liked that element because that was also part of the story of him getting his swagger back. I feel of him being like, I'm ready to be invincible again. By the way, you can go back to Bulletproof now.
Nice.
But yeah, he's back, and yeah, they I'm gonna get to the Adam Eve stuff after this, but like Damien's just kind of on Earth. They live in Earth anyway. He's on the surface, I should say, and he gets this thing from the Satan being like, "Hey, like something's going on up there. Like maybe I should go up there." I'm like, wasn't the whole thing that Damien is the eyes and ears? What do you mean? Maybe I should go up there? So I was just confused by a lot of the Satan and Damien stuff. Maybe because it's all new, and so I'm worried like, how does this fit into the story I know I like? But I will give it the credit it's due, which is if this were just if you told me this was an issue from the comics, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. This feels like classic Invincible stuff. It just felt out of place because of how there felt like some momentum was building in terms of where we were going, and it also came off of the Titan episode that I wasn't that high on either. All stuff where I was just like, I don't care about these people.
Sure.
But it's making the world bigger, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mark takes the outfit from Art, and Debbie lets the boys know that she's moving in with Paul. Well, they are moving in with Paul. And Oliver's kind of a little bit bratty of like, where am I going to live? She's like, oh, both of us. And I like that Mark right away is like, what? And then he's like, what am I even saying? Like, this is the right person for you. I'm happy. This is the right move. Yeah, I'm happy for you. But I like that he caught himself and was just like, oh, there's no need for me to be angry about my mom doing the right thing for her. So that was nice. And Adam Eve, she's trying to tell Mark that she's pregnant, but that gets interrupted.
Yep.
by Nolan and Alan showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Which does, I do remember this, does happen like that in the comics. And I was just like, yeah, it's nice. They nailed it. And just him being like, holy shit, it's him again.
Yeah. It's my dad.
That takes us to episode 5. And it starts right where episode 4 left. But Mark's in the sky with Nolan talking, and Alan is trying to catch Adam Eve up on everything.
Mm-hmm.
I like that there's kind of this Nolan feels like he's trying to be transparent of like, I really want you there, but if you can't do it, that's fine. And Mark's like, I mean, but it isn't though, right? Like, I don't actually have a choice here. This is, I have to do this. I also like that the first time he came back, he pretended to be that science dog character.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. He had a shapeshifter do it. And this time he says, no, you have to trust me, and I'm not doing any tricks, which I understand meant a greater thing, but I was like, well, this time he did do it differently. He just came directly and was like, I know how you feel about me, or how you may feel about me, but I'm coming here. No tricks. We need to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this episode, obviously I like it. It's a Nolan-centric one.
Mm-hmm.
What I enjoyed was what we talked about last time. Nolan is still trying to do the apologies, even though that doesn't mean people have to accept them or be like, oh, you're a good guy. I appreciated people being like, okay, well, fuck you still, but
yeah.
Sure, you apologize. Which starts with, I like Mark has a couple of times where, well, one, he didn't say it explicitly, but it's the same idea of like, it was selfish of you to do it this way because now I obviously have to do it. You weren't really giving me a choice. And then when Nolan basically said, yeah, I want to talk to your mom, he's like, why? Like, that's not, she put so much work into getting over this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just selfish to say you want to give her an apology. It's just for you. That's not going to help her at all.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he's like, I'm still going to do it, but that he was told to his face, like, this isn't the good idea you think it is.
Yeah.
It's funny because Pauline obviously hasn't read the comics or watched it up until this point, and she just saw him apologizing to Debbie, and she's like, what's her problem? She seems like she's the problem. Like, you don't have the context for what's happening here. Because it is, I would say, a well-worded apology.
Yes.
But Debbie is one of the best characters here, so she responded appropriately, I feel.
Yeah, and and that's the thing about apologies, right? It could be the most well-written, well-delivered, most sincere thing, and nobody needs to accept it.
No.
It's just one of those things where it's like, the apology itself is never going to make everything right. Ever again. Things are already messed up, and the person apologizing is acknowledging that, and it's just like, okay, that's good accountability, but going forward, change behavior. Now, in this situation, Debbie doesn't want to forward. She's firmly done with him. So I'm like, that's great.
Which I made up in my mind happened already in the show.
But the idea here, I'm just like, yeah, this is important for you to do, but then rightfully so, everyone else is like, yeah, you didn't even bother saying hi to Oliver, though. Like,
well, before we get to that, I really like the element where she says, you said all this, but just remember 2 months after you left, you had a kid with someone else. And he's like, well, that was a mistake. And she goes, why would that make it better? You broke my heart for a mistake? Like, fuck you. And I'm like, yes, Debbie. Yes.
Yeah. It's amazing what she
all
says.
Good points.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that she didn't bring Paul into it. Like, I moved on already. It really was just about their relationship and how he broke it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respected that as well. That she wasn't trying to do anything other than, hey man, this is your fault. This is, you did this.
Yeah.
I especially liked when she brought up, "Am I still your pet?" I was like, "Don't let him forget that. Don't ever let him forget that."
Yeah, yeah, and you know, like he says everything right on paper, but I'm just like, no, that doesn't undo the hurt you did, man.
Like, what do you want? He's like, I wanted to say sorry. She's like, and you did, and you're still here. Get out. I was like, yes,
well
done.
Yeah, that's I
such
love
a great delivery. You did, and you're still here.
Good. I love Sandra Oh in this entire scene, and then also like the idea of like Nolan just mustering up the courage to knock on the door and all that kind of stuff, and her just opening it
And not
while he's walking away and just leaving it open to be like, like so much is done without ever saying a word, and I love that the entire time he's apologizing, she's not even looking at him. She's looking like
she's
away,
just waiting for it to be over.
Exactly. She's just like, all right, get whatever you need out and all that kind of stuff, and then I can get you out of my life as soon as possible. It's great.
She does like break her hand trying to hit him, and I was thinking, surely you'd ease up and not let her break her arm, like break her hand. I think that was Pauline's other thing of like, what is she doing? Obviously, she should read the room. I'm like, I genuinely think she thought he wouldn't let her hurt herself.
Right.
I think she was like, you're gonna at least let me hit you.
Right.
You owe me this much.
I feel, in comparison to what you're telling me about the comics, where she does get back together with him, I'm like, I'd rather her break her hand.
Oh, I'm not saying I wish she didn't touch. I was trying to think through her thought process of knowing who her husband is, but also thinking over 20 years, I'm sure she playfully hit him before.
Yeah, I don't think there was
obviously
much of a thought
she's
process.
she's giving a lot more force than a playful hit, but
right.
You would think that he would have played along with the playful hits and would know to play along with that. But anyway, he doesn't, and she breaks her hand. And later on, when Mark asks her about it, she's like, I got a little overzealous, but it was worth it. I'm like, I'm glad she does not have any regrets about this.
Yeah.
I also liked her guttural scream when, after she did, letting a lot of pain out, not just the broken hand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, there was so much done in that scene. It's just wildly well acted. Just like the way J.K. Simmons and his voice and all that kind of stuff is just like,
the voice, his like actual like trembling in his voice in some lines was really good.
He does such a good job. Both him and Sandra Oh in that one scene, like that scene, I'm like, it's incredible what they're both doing.
Yeah, it's great work.
Yeah.
While he was doing that, he sent Alan to go get Tech Jacket. I believe this is the reveal that, unlike the comics, in this Tech Jacket is a girl.
Okay.
It's definitely a man in the books, but I also didn't really care about him in the books outside of, oh, he's really cool and he gets shit done. Visually. Similar outcomes for them in the comics and show, but he seems cooler. At least with this, I was like, oh, she has a personality. Like, I kind of care about her in this. Beyond just, it's Tech Jacket. They need Tech Jacket to win. I was like, oh, nice. Zoe and her dad, played by Bobby Moynihan, who's also Man-Bat in Batman, which is great.
Moynihan.
And also her suit is voiced by LeVar Burton, which is great.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But yeah, Tech Jacket, I like that she's got a supportive father. Like when you think he's gonna be weird because she's like, oh, you can't say fuck, and he's trying to like message, hey, don't do that. But then basically after that fight where they show off her skills, they go up to the whatever spaceship they're on, and Alan, we see that it's after Alan told them everything, and the dad's like, yeah, I'll pack you some sandwiches. And he's like, you're not even gonna try and talk her out of it? She's like, no, it's not really his thing. And he's just supportive and nice, and I respected that.
Yeah, good dad there. Love it.
Great stuff. I also like that he's her man in the chair, so he has to be down. He's not, hey, what's going on? He's very much active in her crime fighting life.
I like that the only thing he cares about is her cussing. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's like, "Yeah, listen,
you've been letting that slip a lot lately. That's the only thing he cares about. I'm like, that's great. What a great supportive dad that still has some expectations.
Yeah. This is where I guess Oliver finds out, wait a minute, he was here and he didn't even say hi to me, and I'm like, that is rough stuff.
That is rough.
I know he explains why later, but I was just like, geez, like, you come on.
Yeah, I don't buy that explanation when he.
I do. I think he's just, as I said, he's not a good guy, but I do believe that he's like, I don't want him to have to deal with me.
Right.
I can see him being like, I probably fucked up Mark. He says as much. He said, I don't want to fuck him up like I did Mark.
Yeah, I get that. I get that that's where he's coming from. I just feel like it feels like you're just protecting yourself when you're protecting him. Because Oliver, for all intents and purposes, he did have a good relationship with Nolan, and like that was one of the big conflicts that like Oliver and Mark had, is like, hey, you got to remember he was good to me the entire time, and I'm just hearing about how shitty he is now.
Yeah,
but the previous season.
It's the same timeline as Mark. He's good until everything was good until he had powers.
That's true.
Which is 18 years. It's a similar amount of time if you account for how he ages and how Mark ages.
Right. And I did like that he brought that into the apology too. It's like my day changed, my life changed, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's
I just because I believe him doesn't mean I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
I just believe him that is his that's his hang up. Is I don't want to screw that up, which is that's still selfish because it's what you want out of it.
Boom. Yep.
So yeah, they basically are trying to tell Oliver he can't go with Mark, and Mark's like, "Fuck you guys! I didn't get to save my mom and my planet the first time around. I'm going to do it this time. You can't stop me from doing that." And I do like that at one point Mark tries to make excuses for Nolan, and he's like, "Why? Why am I even doing that?" Yeah, you're right. He sucks. Yeah. And Debbie is like, sure, I just have one request, and I like the montage they do where they have a meal with Adam, Eve, and Paul included in their family, and they have a nice, what looks like an amazing meal. Talking, but also food-wise. Mm-hmm. And then it's time for them to move on, I guess. Wait, does it go from... Oh, this is where Nolan goes to see Art, one of my favorite scenes. Mm-hmm. They're talking like they are friends. They're drinking beers. And I do like that Art, again, is kind of like, you didn't mess up Mark, by the way. Mm-hmm. And that he's like, he's the one that was like, oh, like it must have been crazy to see Oliver. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, no, I didn't. And I like that must have added to Art being like, yeah, fuck this guy. Close his account out.
Sucks.
But yeah, they have this whole thing of like his suit and why I would have never had you out there with no shoes on. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, it makes me feel more grounded. He's like, great, you get sent off Earth and you become a hippie. And basically it gets to a point where he's like, all right, well, if I survive this, then you can do my suit. And Art goes, no, I closed your account. I clothe heroes. And I'm like,
yes, shit. That was cold, but good. I
love how he has like this gasp of air like after Nolan leaves. Because he even does kind of hover like his normal Omni-Man thing of like, I'm going to kill you now. Not that I thought that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. It was just, I can see how Art might have been like, oh, don't let him see you. Don't let him see you flinch. Don't let him see you flinch. Mm-hmm. One thing I want to go back to because I really liked it and I forgot was in the Debbie interaction. Mm-hmm. He tries to pull the, I'm like 1,000 years old, but 20 years with you has truly changed me. Mm-hmm. And she goes, if I was supposed to change you, I failed. You are not human. You're not one of us. You're not even a bad photocopy. And I was like, shit, that's what you get. That's what you get, Nolan.
That's right. That's right. A lot of bad blood thrown at you because you've been gone for a long time. Well deserved.
Yeah. And it's not just because he was gone. Like, he did some fucked up things.
Oh, he did. No. I'm like, it's just like none of it got communicated because he was gone.
Yeah.
That's what
I don't even know if it would have helped if he, like,
oh,
there's just
absolutely
certain things
not.
you can't come back from. Like,
Yeah.
in Debbie's eyes, of like, you call me a pet.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a. You tried to kill our son. You fundamentally changed our son.
Mm-hmm.
He's not moved on, but he has built upon that. But you fucked up our son. Like, that's you broke a very sacred bond there. So yeah, I can see it just being like, that's never gonna be good. And with Art, yeah, he probably was like, we were supposed to be friends, and you held that from me, and you are a bad guy. So no, I'm not working with you.
Yeah.
Plus, as I mentioned, the multiple times Mark's like, but you're just being selfish. This is nothing. This is not you actually thinking of the other person. But yeah, that's what I wanted to get to. Yeah, so that's the problem for Nolan right now, is he's being rejected by the people he does not want to be rejected. He said, I miss my wife. He obviously missed Mark. I'm sure he has a very strong fondness for Art. Adam, Eve, I guess this, I do agree with people saying that Mark's just a bad boyfriend, because at the end of last episode, she was like, I have something to tell you, and it takes him until this point to be like, hey, didn't you have something to say? And she's just like, what am I, like, it's not important. You're about to go off and fight in this war. What am I supposed to say? Although she should be like, I am pregnant, so you should probably think about that.
It is, I think, hard to throw that bad boyfriend label at Mark in this situation, where it's just like, holy shit, your dad's back, and that obviously means a lot to him and all that kind of stuff, and it interrupts the whole conversation. I don't think.
Yeah, but you're acting like
takes
nothing
that
is going on with her. She's in crisis because her body doesn't work the way it needs to work.
No, absolutely. I
think she gives him like, while she has that going on, she's very much present for him and asking what's going on. He couldn't really be bothered to even go beyond. Were you going to say something? Oh no, okay, time to move on.
I mean, I see here. I think there's enough room for me to be like, yeah, I don't think this is all on Mark. But
it's a
I can
relationships,
see why that
two people. Who else would it be on?
Yeah, you're right. Especially because, like, she did take the appropriate time to figure out how to tell Mark with William and all that. Yeah. It's just that it's so wild because Mark is doing so much emotional heavy lifting through these two episodes.
Clear, you don't have to be like, he's a bad person.
I don't think
you
he's
could be
a bad person.
You could be a bad boyfriend and a good person.
Yeah, I've been that multiple times. I've dropped the ball on a lot of these things, but
yeah,
it's just one of those
and I
things
don't think it's just this that makes him a bad boyfriend. I would say that a lot of the time he lets that stuff overtake how Adam Eve might be thinking about anything, really.
That's pretty much, yeah, that's true. He's very much in his own head and very self-involved in that sense. But
yeah, it doesn't make him a bad person.
That's right.
He's got a blind spot.
He definitely did drop the ball. I'm not denying that. I'm just like, yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, she's basically like, just please don't die. And I like that he's like, don't worry, we love each other too much for anything bad to happen. But he does, yeah, like, I feel like with his mom, with Adam Eve, is kind of just really laying on the whole, I always come back. So with that, I'm like, I guess you have to believe that. What's the point in leaving if you don't believe that?
Right.
You have come back from a lot, so you might as well just assume that will happen this time too. And he's got his dad on his side this time, so maybe that'll help.
Maybe.
Who knows? Certainly not me. And then, yeah. So can't tell. He doesn't have very important information right now. Then there's the Debbie and Paul. I know Adam Eve is there, but this is where Paul gets to be a part of it, and it's great even in this I mean, he's in the montage scene, which was good, but I like him in this too, where Debbie tries to be like, "Hey, be safe," and Mark has to be like, "It's war. It's the opposite of being safe." And Paul is like, "Just give them hell, kick their butts in a safe way." And I'm like, "Good for you, Paul. Nice work." And they all say their goodbyes. It's beautiful. Mark and Oliver join Nolan. I think her name's Telia. Alan's wife. I think it's Telia. I never knew how to say her name really. Telia. And the basically Star Trek ripoff team on the ship.
Yep.
And we start to see right away, like, oh, Oliver's not fucking with Nolan.
Yep.
Not talking to him. Really, like they have the initial "I'm here, you got to deal with it," but after that, he basically just stays away from him. Actually, starts hanging out with Tech Jacket more, and Mark another time where he gets to be like, "You're just being selfish." Like, oh, like you didn't see him when you came. You think you're gonna screw him over, but like, how is this better? And what do you think the O on his costume stands for? It's certainly not Oliver. And I'm like, yeah, man. Mark is may not be a good boyfriend, but he's a good advocate for his brother in this episode.
Yes, yeah, and his mom. He's very good at that. He's very, very good at that for sure. You're right. I do wish it was more that emotional awareness was directed towards Adam and Eve a lot more.
Yeah,
but he's not emotionally stupid. For sure.
No, he's just
wildly inconsistent.
it's family, I guess.
Yeah.
There's very clearly a hierarchy of people he cares about.
Yes, there is.
So that's not great for Adam and Eve, but it's good for Oliver and Debbie. Then there's this moment that I found interesting where they leave orbit of Earth, I should say, and Cecil and Donald are kind of just like, oh wow, like it's the first time in 20 years that there's no Viltrumite on Earth, and neither of them know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, certainly does leave you open. You better hope no Viltrumites come to Earth. I think it's just bad. At least when you had Mark and Oliver, you had some protection.
Right.
But we'll see. There's I feel like they do another like montage on the ship of people doing things. There's the moment where Nolan remembers the dinner he had with Debbie, and he can't eat the food he made anymore. Lost his appetite. But the big part of this episode is that Conquest and other Viltrumites come. I guess there's only 3 of them. It's Conquest and 2 other guys that I don't know the names of.
Yeah, Lucan and Crad.
Yep, those 2 people were there too.
Yep.
And what they do is they force the ship to separate so that it's only Tech Jacket, Nolan, Mark, Oliver, and Alan left to fight. Probably for the best. Those are the people best equipped to fight Viltrumites at the moment. And it is a very violent and bloody fight. I do like there's an element of Conquest being back to being cocky and taunting, but then Mark is like, "Well, are you going to tell me your deepest, darkest secrets again?" And I didn't. I like that Mark said that, but his response of "I told you that" in confidence, I'm just like, "Did you?" Anyway, they have a long fight, and I like that this is also a path towards Nolan and Oliver at least having better communication, because during the fight, Oliver is consistent, like, don't help, I don't need you, get off me, until he gets punched and winded. Just a reminder that they have to hold their breath when they're in space. They can't just breathe normally. So I like that Nolan checks in and says, do you need a breath? Because you can go over to that planet and take a breath. And I was like, that's good. I'm glad there's an opening to him showing he genuinely cares. obviously last season there was more of an approach of, what are you guys doing? You got to kill them. Stop fucking around. This one, there was an actual change in how Nolan approached that, and he was actively trying to be where he needed to be to help out. Including the time where Conquest is literally crushing Oliver's skull.
Yeah.
Nolan comes to knock him out, and I'm like, all right, there we go.
Yeah, he was doing the Game of Thrones thing.
Yeah, it's I saw someone, just to jump ahead of it, someone was like, what is the hype with Conquest? This guy's 0 for 2. What the fuck does everyone like him?
He is.
I didn't think about that until now. I just remember, wow, Conquest is so hard to beat, and I'm like, but he does get beaten twice.
He gets beaten twice, and he even goes like, it wasn't the Viltrumite that beat him the first time. It was Adam Eve.
Your magic girlfriend. Where is she, by the way? I thought that was gonna put a little bit more pep in Mark's step. Not pep's maybe the wrong word, but I thought he was gonna make him a bit more angry. But he kind of just was like, I'm gonna get you later.
Yeah, we're gonna kill you
later. But I'm sure there will be knock-on effects with this. But obviously, initially, Mark has to be like, I killed you, though. It's a point of frustration for him. He doesn't seem confused. He's just like, what the fuck is happening here? I killed you. Because he doesn't know that Cecil saved Conquest in a terrible, terrible decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're left fighting the 2 other Viltrumites, but then basically a whole squadron comes out. Not of Viltrumites. Just weaponized people that can get them. So Conquest follows his name's Oliver, I knew that. Conquest follows Oliver to that planet, and I will say from the comics, I'm like, now I know someone gets disemboweled, but I can't remember if it's Oliver or Mark. So I was genuinely scared. I was like, geez, I don't really know if I can watch him get disemboweled. But luckily it wasn't Oliver.
Yeah. It was Mark.
But Mark, what's his face? Nando V Movies was like, I like that this showed that Mark had a plan and he was going to follow through on it, which was just choke Conquest. He wasn't planning on, he was doing some punching because it's a TV show. What are we going to do? But that he was like, I just have to cut off his air supply. So he grabs on, and for a long period of time, Nando, I think it is 90 seconds of just, no matter what's happening, Mark is strangling Conquest, including the point where they're on the ground, and Conquest does the classic Viltrumite hand through the midsection and starts pulling out a lot of guts.
Pulling out guts. That
more
was
than you'd
wild.
Think.
It's wild.
It's I was like, all right. Once the strangling happened, I'm like, oh, it's Mark. But I was like, I know one of them is gonna be fucked and it was Mark, which I think in my old age, I'm like, I can stomach this better than if it was Oliver.
Yeah, I could see that. If it was done to Oliver, I'd be like, no, that was too much for me. And I get it, but I'm like, it's too much for me. It's way too much. So thanks for taking the bullet there, Mark.
Yeah, he saves the day. He finally takes out Conquest. Yeah, but also he's out. He's down for the count.
Yeah, he's pretty much.
I don't know if they're going to do the same thing in the comics, but it's not nothing.
Right.
I would imagine I think they're going to do the same thing. Like they'll probably do a time jump or something, but
probably
he's out for a bit, which does lead to some good stories. But in the comics, he's out for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the next episode is titled "You Look Horrible," so I'm pretty sure that's referring to Mark.
Yeah. From now on, I feel like it's just safe to say people are going to get fucked up. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
They won't be just shaking it off.
Yeah, no, they won't. Because Thaddeus decides it's time to open the war with the Viltrumites. Like, officially.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why was it only officially declared now? It feels weird, but Thaddeus is he's just a weird, inconsistent guy.
Thaddeus is hilarious.
Yeah.
He's an old guy. Yeah, this is where also they show you what happens with Tech Jacket and
Alan.
And because at one point they were like, "Get to safety," and Tech Jacket's like, "Yeah, where is that?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"That's
where
a good
is it?"
question. I think even Alan says, "Yeah, that is a good point. Where are we supposed to go?"
Yeah.
And Tech Jacket's like, "Oh, follow me," and they just hide on the Viltrum, like the Viltrumite ship.
Yeah. Well, the Star Wars Episode 5.
There we go. So they're hiding there, and I like that Alan's like, "Can you make this bigger?" She's like, "No," and he's like, "Why are we doing this?" And then he finally gets to play some video games, and he's like, "So, but to be clear, you can make video games for us to play, but you can't make this a bit bigger." She's like, "No, I can't."
That was really, really funny.
Yeah.
Because he goes like with your mind too. I'm like, yeah, that's actually hilarious.
So yeah, that's where we are after 2 more episodes of this show. One episode where I was like, I appreciate the emotional growth that happened, but I don't care for this, and I still acknowledge it feels like a classic Invincible issue, so that's nice.
It definitely doesn't feel like the fact that you told me this is like a brand new story for TV. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, like it fits
me.
in. Yeah, I feel like it fits in. But I was obviously way more interested in the Nolan-centric episode because he was told what for, and he continued to try and apologize for what he did wrong. But I was happy that he was met with, "No, I don't want to be around you." Other than his sons, I can see them being like, "I have to fight for," but I do think they want to be around their dad.
Yeah.
I think Oliver's making Nolan work for it, but
yeah,
I do think both of them are looking to have more time with their dad.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. I just need. I very much agree with the Oliver thing that he's making him work for it. In regards to Mark, it's still a hard sell for me and all that kind of stuff. But right now, I'm just left with the image of Mark's guts being pulled out by Conquest. Like, that was
the sounds
wild.
he was making.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was like, oh boy.
And the fact that he's like just continuing to hang on, I'm like, oh my god.
He's a strong guy.
Yeah.
I saw people saying that was plot armor, but I don't feel like they understand that the show's called Invincible, not really strong guy.
Yeah.
It's not plot armor if he genuinely went through. It'd be plot armor if no one laid a finger on him.
Right.
But he's going to suffer because of this.
Yeah, it's not like he got out of that unscathed.
Even
he's extremely scathed.
Forward, yeah, even if they skip forward, he will now be like, I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
He didn't not feel anything.
Yeah. And there's still more Viltrumites to fight.
There's more Viltrumites to fight, and
by count now, there's 49. So,
and Conquest very clearly isn't even the strongest one. He's just the most unhinged, and he didn't even feel that unhinged this time around.
Yeah, and he just to that whole revelation of like, I feel lonely. I'm like, yeah, he's just the most antisocial one.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean he's the strongest. It means people fear him because he's unpredictable and, like you said, unhinged. I'm like, yeah, that's understandable.
I think it was fantastic. Frankie was just like, and he lost twice, so fuck that guy. Like, he's not. He doesn't deserve any reverence. He hasn't won on screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't agree with the plot armor thing.
No.
I feel like we're dealing with a character that could live for thousands of years, and we have seen heals after severe like we've seen so many things that would have just killed somebody, not kill him, and that doesn't mean that he just goes unscathed. there's still an emotional toll and a physical one, I would imagine, if he keeps going through that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed episode 5.
Yeah, episode 5 was good. I really liked the fact that for a split moment I was really, really concerned because like episode 4 was like, oh, I'm a hero again, you know, that kind of thing. And like, oh, I'm gonna have the reenact the ethics and morals. And the moment he sees Conquest, it's like, nah, you gotta die. I'm not doing that debate stuff anymore. It's like, no, you there's no way you're gonna reform or there's no chance. It's just like, no, we know what your mission is.
Yeah, your mission is to kill them. Like you're not talking them down.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that they continue some stuff from the comics in terms of the Viltrumites having to interact with not just Mark but other characters, where I'm like, it will be interesting for them to adapt that. They might not, and it could still work, but a big part of a lot of the stuff that I like from the comics has happened already in the show, but there's still like 3 or 4 things where I'm like, I really hope this comes to the TV screen. And it's mostly, not all, it's mostly Viltrumite related.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Viltrumite war's here. This is exciting.
We're doing it.
So we'll see what happens in the next 3 episodes to finish off the season. But like you said, it's probably very, very bloody, and I'm just wondering whose death are we gonna see? Like, you know, I'm legit thinking Oliver's gonna die, but maybe not. But we'll see. It's very interesting.
I don't think he'll die this season, if he dies. And I'd say that only because the show has taken many different swings than the comics. I don't say that to be like, oh, maybe not. I mean, the show, not just gender swapping Tech Jacket, but a big thing of, no, Debbie doesn't take Nolan back, means they might have a different story in mind.
Maybe.
So,
yeah.
I can't just be like, well, it happened in the comics, so that's how it's going to happen here.
No, it's very, very interesting, especially knowing how Thaddeus has like the super version of the virus and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, y'all could just release that now. I genuinely think, I'm like, y'all could just release that now.
Well, just know that it does get released.
Yeah. I'm sure it does at some point. It's got to be released at some point. Which is
definitely something that people have to deal with.
Yeah. Subsequently, it makes me think, like, do they really need to put like Tech Jack and Alan and all those people at risk if they can just release the one thing?
Well, just remember that gas doesn't go, oh, well, these Viltrumites are the good guys, so it won't hurt them.
No, I get that. But the idea is like,
so then you gotta be like, they gotta use it strategically if they don't want to take out their Viltrumite allies.
I get that, but it's just seems like
you just want the show to be done.
I don't want the show to be done. But I'm just like,
you just wanted to do it now.
It just seems like a logical thing, especially if Thaddeus tried to do it the first time. Then I'm like, why wouldn't you do it again this time? But my guess is that because the Viltrumites are spread across the universe, that they have to collect them all or do it slowly or whatever it might be.
Well, you only get the one chance to do it, right?
Yeah.
You can't really be like, hey, well, let's just do it here. No, there could be no negative impact of doing it one time with just these 3 over here.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting to know the changes they're making and be like, this could just be new for both of us, which is exciting. All right, well, as you probably have guessed, next episode will be Daredevil, not this. So don't get excited about any Invincible episode next week. It'll be the week after that.
That's right.
But other than that, you know, you can catch up on other episodes on your podcast platform of choice. You can also rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends. We are also at TDF Spoiled on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Lemonade. And our email is spoiledpodcast@gmail.com, and you can go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten to find even more ways to connect and to listen to episodes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.